I'm your host, Rob Carbone. This is BD4.
Barrett, some shake is big. Gets a three. Stands alive as the crowd is fired. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye. Anthony for three. That one goes down. Gotta put four fingers up when Torres comes to the plate.
All right. Episode 213 of the podcast tonight. What is going on, everybody? I am your host, RJ Carbone. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everyone's having a good start to their week. As I am recording, it is a Tuesday night. It is a Tuesday night, February 15th, the night that the Knicks just took down the Atlanta Hawks at the Garden for their third victory in a row. So I hope everybody's doing well. Of course, as you are listening to this podcast, to this episode 213, it is a Wednesday. This should be out by Wednesday morning, the very latest. I like to have it up early in the morning. So I hope everyone's having a good start to their Wednesday morning. Hope everybody has had a good week so far. This past weekend, you know, the weekend after the Super Bowl is always a bit awkward, always a bit boring for some folks and kind of depressing. But if you do like MMA like myself, it was a pretty fun-ass weekend, at least Saturday night. Saturday was fucking legit. Listen, I thought the card for the week before that, you know, for the fight night card to about, you know, the week coming up last fucking Saturday. Before the Usman card. I thought that card was pretty good, and I honestly thought it was going to be better than this card, but pretty foolish statement now that you watched, whoever did watch the, what was it, 258 this past weekend. It was good. It was damn good. Fortunately, I didn't lose money this time. I actually earned some scuttle, because I had money on that, what was his name, Gaslam kid. He's fucking good. You know, I think he was one of the earlier fights on the main card. And then obviously I won with Usman, who just, well, first off, that Gaslam fight was good because, you know, the other kid looked like he was doing what he needed to do. He was attacking him. He had a couple of, what do they call it, the fucking, I'm no fucking MMA expert, but the fly, he like fucking did some spinny winny shit in the air. The flying fucking head kick, whatever you call it. I don't know. Again, I'm fairly new to MMA, but fucking he jumped up in the air and tried to kick him and shit. But Gaslam just kept fucking responding. He knew every move. Every move from, who was he fighting? Shit. Some kid, I forget the kid's name. I know it, but I just don't, it's not coming to the top of my head right now, but he was like predicting every move that was coming towards him. He was predicting. It was some ninja shit, and he had perfect fundamentals. He took him down, and he took the he got the victory. But you went to the Usman fight, which obviously was the big fight of the night, and guy didn't listen, it started off, he took a couple hits to the face. Didn't like it. It pissed him off. He said after in the post-game presser, fucking that it shook him a little bit. But from there, he just kind of attacked Usman did, and he kept going with the jabs, and his fucking jabs are legit. I mean, there is a painful. He's that guy's a fucking beast, and now he's entering, what is it, 13 wins in a row? You know, longest of all time, right underneath Anderson Silva. Just unbelievable, you know, MMA fighter. Has been great so far in UFC. So, taking down, fucking, what's this kid's name? I keep forgetting the fucking, you know, is he Australian or something? Burns, taking down Burns, you know, it's, you know, he was emotional after. It sucked because he's a good dude on the other end. Everybody, you know, was expecting Usman to win, but it was an emotional one for Burns because it was a title fight, and he got off to a good start. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity he was getting here, and looked good for him at the start. But, once Usman just put his foot on the pedal and fucking just went at him, and he ended up getting him with the KO. Was it the second round? Third, maybe? So, yeah, third round. And fucking... it was good. It was really entertaining. It wasn't just those two fights. The fight with what was it? Grasso and the other chick was fun on the main card. The prelims were pretty solid as well. I liked it. I had a good time watching it. So that was pretty cool. But I want to get into obviously some more Knicks tonight. Although the Yankees did make a couple of moves. They made a couple of moves. One to bring back Justin Wilson. But beforehand, I think it was 2 days ago, they brought back, they brought in left-handed power bat Jay Bruce, who I forgot was even in the league. He hasn't really been relevant since maybe after his Reds days, maybe with the Indians back in 2017 when he was facing the Yankees in the postseason. But yeah, he's with the Yankees now. He signed a minor league deal. Don't expect him to really get any time. If he does, he's just like an additional depth piece. Left-handed pop, occasionally pinch hits, maybe DHs for, the days that Judge and Stanton need their rest, or maybe he will get some time, because knowing the Yankees and their injuries, he'll probably end up being a fucking everyday starter. God, that would be bad. All right, let's head to our first break. No need to fuck around tonight. Got a lot to go over. The Knicks have been playing really great of lately, and we're going to discuss that. Got to get into some things. We'll recap the last two games, right? We'll talk about the Rockets game, and then we'll talk about the most recent game against the Atlanta Hawks, both at the Garden, and we'll break some things down a bit. All right, so let's head to our first break. When we get back, we'll get started. All right, let's get to it. Hey fellas, so really quick before we get back into the show, I do want to remind you that if you haven't yet subscribed to this podcast, or subscribed to my blog, or followed me on social media even, you can do all that by going to my link tree. Just go to linktr.ee/RJCarbone. That is linktr.ee/RJCarbone. Guys, thanks so much. Let's get back to the show. So listen, this team's playing good. You go back to, let's see, Sunday night? Yeah. No? Saturday. I think it was Saturday. Where the Knicks took on the Rockets at MSG, and they took them down. They took them down 121-99. Handling them pretty good. This is a Rockets team. Obviously, the Knicks were without Mitchell Robinson, but the Rockets were also without Christian Wood and Victor Oladipo. But nonetheless, the Knicks took the victory, won by 22 points. Great team defense. That was the first thing I wrote down here. A defensive win. Yes, the Knicks did score a ton of points, but, defense won the Knicks this game. 1 second. Just trying to get my notes in order here. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, defense won the Knicks this game, and just great all around from everybody, defending the perimeter pretty well, defending the interior pretty solid as well. But offensively, obviously, they got a ton of contributions from everybody, really. Julius Randle goes for 22, 9, and 2. You get, what we're donning it, Rickley now, Emmanuel Quickly and Derrick Rose. Rickley combining for 38 on 60% shooting, going 5 for 9 from downtown together. And if you want to count EP, he had 15 points on 7 of 11. Noel and Taj did a nice job filling in for Mitch, going for 14, 11, 2 blocks combined. Obi Toppin had a great game again. He goes for 11 points across 13 minutes. You get Reggie Bullock, obviously the 9 points on 3 for 5 from distance. All of that came in the first quarter. RJ and Burks, really the only two to, not shoot the ball well. and they were both below like 25%. So everybody except those two, everybody played well. It was a good team win. The Knicks got off to a hot start, and they kind of sustained it despite some ups and downs midway. But the first quarter comes, you get 8 different Knicks putting points on the board. All 5 starters score points. RJ starts out posting up. Bullock gets it going later from 3. He hits 3 consecutive 3-pointers to bring the Knicks on a 9-2 run himself. Randle hits him on the driving kick. You get Elfrid Payton hitting him up, and then you get RJ Barrett hitting Reggie Bullock up. This puts the Knicks up after that run, puts them up like 20-12 after 5.5, with 5.5 to play in the first. And on the flip side, the Knicks defended the 3-point arc pretty well in that first period. Again, Houston just making 8 the entire game on 16%. But in the first quarter, they were 1 for 10 from 3-point distance. So doing a really good job containing them. And they take the first quarter 30 points to 25 points for Houston. So second quarter comes, more of the same. The Knicks keep putting their foots on the pedal, but the second unit comes in, and the second unit does their thing again. You get Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickley coming in and doing their shit. D Rose gets an acrobatic layup at the top of the quarter. IQ gets an and one on a right-handed take. Then he throws up a floater later on. EP even starts hitting a couple shots. He gets 3 in a row to go in. Noel gets a block. Randle hits a few shots to cap off the half. Obviously, that one jumper at the buzzer. Everything going right for the Knicks. Nothing going right for Houston. So they enter the half down up 63-47. Third quarter comes. I guess Houston made some adjustments. They step up their intensity on the defensive end. They force, this is a Knicks team who I don't think they had a turnover in the first half. Maybe one, I don't remember, but right away the Rockets force 4 quick turnovers on the Knicks. Knicks get a bit sloppy. The Rockets kind of get it going from the offensive standpoint. And John Wall, who had 26, gets it going in transition, playing downhill, digging into his bag, hitting a couple 3-point shots. You're thinking maybe this had something to do with the scuffle that he and Elfrid Payton had, exchanging some words in the first half. Kind of fueled John Wall for 10 points there in that third period. He had it going. Eric Gordon had it going. Got to the free throw line a couple times. Some playmaking. DeMarcus Cousins showed some flashes of his pre-washed moments. So the Houston Rockets kind of got it going, and they pulled the lead. They cut the Knicks lead down to 5. Tibbs adjusts. He checks in Derrick Rose, for Elfrid Payton around the 5-minute mark. Maybe he wants to see what Derrick Rose looks like with the starters, because this was with Julius, RJ, and Noel. So maybe an indicator, if you're positive about him getting the start eventually. But he comes in later on, about I'd say the 2-minute mark. A couple minutes later, IQ checks in. Rose hits up IQ for a 3-pointer. IQ then hits another 3-pointer to cap off the third period. 30 seconds later, the Knicks enter the fourth, up 87-75. So still up pretty decently. The fourth quarter, pretty much the Knicks just putting the game away. Quickly, Rose kept it going. Second unit looked fantastic. For the cherry on top, Knox gets a throwdown. He gets some garbage minutes. And then that Knox lob to Obi was fucking beautiful. You want to see them two play more. And the Knicks end up winning by 22. So it was a good win. An offensive onslaught for the Knicks. And a defensive, a good defensive game too. Randle and IQ, they lead the way with 22 points apiece. You get Julius with 9 rebounds. You get RJ with 5 assists. And those were your offensive numbers for the Knicks. So a good win, once again, 121-99. Game 2. Game fucking 14 and 15. Game 29. Game 29 of the season. The Knicks defeat the Atlanta Hawks at MSG. This was awesome. Another offensive onslaught. A legit fucking offensive onslaught. Not quite the defensive performance, but the Knicks have it going offensively. They shoot a 51%, 50%, 82% shooting slash across the board. Fucking obviously it's Julius Randle leading the way, and we're gonna get to all this in a second. We're just going to break the game down real quick. Randle goes for 44 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists on 64% from the field, and he hit 7 3-pointers on 13 attempts. Just on fire all night. RJ Barrett, good bounce back, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 for 3 from 3-point distance. Manuel Quickley, 16 points, 4 for 8 3-point shooting, 4 for 4 free throw shooting, and 5 assists. Derrick Rose, 8 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, but also 2 blocks. And you had Noel. Well, the numbers didn't look incredible, but 3 blocks, 2 steals, and a plus 17, which was a team high along with Randle. So his impact was really, in my opinion, he was the player of the game, fucking outside of Julius, obviously. There's your co-player of the game right there. You watch this game, he was incredible, especially in the third period, which we'll get to. But to start this one out in the first quarter, again, the Knicks hot offensively. RJ is aggressive out of the gate. You could tell he was going to be on this game. He just looked much more energetic. He attacked the rim for a couple of free throws. Later on, about not even 30 seconds later, hits a 17-footer. So he's aggressive out the gate. He ends up with 8 points in that first quarter, doesn't miss a shot. But after RJ starts the game off for the Knicks, that's when Julius starts to cook. And he gets 17 points in that first quarter alone. Puts the Knicks up 13 near the end of the quarter. Obviously before Trae Young banks that one shot in. But, Knicks played great offensively. Defensively, the Knicks were playing good in that first. They were switching on ball screens, except for when the center was involved. So it was a pretty conservative scheme they had going, but it was working for them. And they ended up going into the second with 39 points on almost 70% shooting, a couple ticks below, and they were 6 for 8 from 3. So a good two-way first quarter for the Knicks. Second quarter comes, second and third quarter, really, the Hawks start clapping back. They start out the second, really throughout the entire second quarter, just some hot shooting, playing really good in transition, getting some absolute bullshit whistles, which, Trae Young and his bullshit, man, it's hard to watch. It's like Harden, really is. We did see some Obi Randle small ball, once Taj and Noel later in the quarter were on the bench with foul trouble. We got some Obi Randle 4-5 action. Worked well, but the Knicks were struggling mostly in that second period. Entering the half up only 3 points, 66-63. So a slower second. Third quarter comes, and here we go. Hawks keep it going. And they just storm out of the gate, and they get off to a 9-0 run, putting the Knicks down 72-66 in Atlanta's favor there. Just looked very sluggish. The starters didn't look like they had that energy in the first half. But, Tom Thibodeau stuck with them, and you got to give him credit because it worked. There were some bad moments, but, the one where fucking Nerlens Noel dropped an easy pass, I think, from Julius. That was just so infuriating, but he made up for it, right? First off, Randle gets a driving layup to go, then hits back-to-back 3-pointers, midway through the third period. And then Noel with a fucking... Yeah, it looked like in the first quarter tonight, Noel was about to take a 3-pointer. He hesitated. He looked like he was about to take it. Frazier even called him out on it. He was like, oh, is he going to take that? But he didn't. He looked like he was about to take it. But, in the third quarter, he gets like a 16-footer to go. One of those, oh, no, yes, kind of shots. And he gets it to go. Follows that up with a big steal on Trae Young. Then gets 2 blocks in a row. One on Huerter is his name? I don't fucking know. And then another on Skylar Mays. This starts to, some fast break opportunities for the Knicks. RJ doesn't convert on one of those layups, but the second block eventually ends up in EP's hand. He hits a layup, and this kind of sparks the Knicks. You get 9 straight points from Elfrid Payton there, and the Knicks end up entering the fourth quarter up 95-90. So back in the lead. Fourth quarter comes, and just a barrage of clutch baskets from New York here. You get Emmanuel Quickley with a 3-ball at the top of the period. Always does that. Always feel like he does that. he's a fourth quarter guy, but I always feel like he's the first one to make a shot in the fourth. And it's always a 3-point shot from like 30 feet away. So he puts the Knicks up 8 points at the top of the period. Fucking the Hawks kind of crawl back a bit, but Emmanuel quickly pulls up from the fucking Chase logo and drills another 3-point shot going downhill. 104-100 Knicks. Then you get the RJ Barrett, 3-point makes. A couple of, a pair of threes from RJ. Moving beautifully off the ball. One of them where, leads to a catch and shoot from IQ on the driving kick. This puts the Knicks up 107-102 with about 5 minutes to go. Another one came off a catch and shoot from Julius Randle driving, putting the Knicks up 115-107 with about 2.5 to play. And then Randle himself obviously hitting the goodnight all-star step back to really seal the deal with about 1.5 to put the Knicks at 117-109. They eventually go on to win. Just an amazing win. Really energetic win that these past couple nights, but especially tonight, would have had the Garden rocking. I mean, everybody would have fucking went nuts for this. So I'm excited for the Garden to be packed again in about a week from now. So that's going to be, or not packed, but having some kind of crowd. That's going to be fun though. So an amazing win. The fucking, one of the things I've noticed, just the camaraderie with this team is just amazing. There was this one, if you watched it, not even like, it was like right after the game when they, usually pan to Rebecca to do the post-game interview. You had fucking, it was like RJ, IQ, and fucking, Theo Pinson to all gathered around the fucking the mic with Julius to do the post-game interview. There's a clip when they were all together.
Points, 5 more assists. Well, there's a number of players waiting to be part of the post-game interview. Let's go to Rebecca
this man
right
is not
now.
an all-star, is a problem.
Yes, that's right, Mike. Julius's teammates.
No. This is all-star right here. I just want to go home.
Love it, man. I love it. I loved it. It just shows you how much this team likes playing with each other. They really like each other. The chemistry's great, not just on the court, but they like each other as a unit. They're buddies with everybody. Even Theo Pinson, fucking this guy is like, if there's a Benchman of the Year award, it's fucking him. He's our Udonis Aslam. That's who he is. He's I've never seen a man so happy to sit on the bench 48 minutes a game and clap his hands. He's our little cheerleader, and I fucking love shit like that. It's important. It doesn't go on the stat sheets, obviously. Doesn't fucking play, but it's important to have that kind of unit who's so close to each other and so connected. And I feel like, the Knicks have been, if there's one thing you can credit the Knicks for doing these last couple of seasons, it's they do like each other. They've always liked each other. This core, this unit does like each other. It's not just this season, but, you can see under Tom Thibodeau, the effort is starting to transition onto the court too. They're playing hard every single night. This team is no longer fucking slouching. They don't play stupid basketball anymore. Do they have their moments? Yes. But they play fucking hard for Tom Thibodeau. He's got them turning around and playing defense. They're a top 3 team in defense. Some would say first. You look at the stats they showed earlier in the game. Defensive points per game, they're number 1. Defensive rating, they're number 3. So they are a good unit defensively. They will put in their effort, and offensively we've got our issues, but lately it's been coming around with D-Rose. It seems to unlock a lot of opportunities here for the offense, and it's a fun team, almost to a point where I'm starting to do that thing, which I hate doing, where I wrongfully look ahead, way too far ahead. Do I even mention the P word? But I was thinking of like these fake scenarios where we're at MSG and it's like the fourth quarter of a fucking playoff game, and we're just going nuts again. And I'm having flashbacks back to 2013 when I went to the Knicks Celtics playoff game. One of them. I don't want to do it. I don't want to start making up playoff scenarios here. But man, you can't help but to think of how fun this would fucking be. Especially if we can continue to have fans in the seats, following next week. Oh man, this team, we need this, man. New Yorkers need this fucking shit. I mean, come on. We're what, 14 and 15? I mean, come on. We didn't win our 14th game in I don't even forever. We were 4 and 22, 5 and 25. I mean, we were really pathetic last year. It wasn't even close. This year, we're finally learning how to win and develop at the same time. Are there things I'd like to see Tom Thibodeau do more in favor of the youth? Absolutely. But at least we're getting, a big season from RJ Barrett. We were getting a big season from Mitchell Robinson before the injury. He's turned around Julius Randle. He's, found a way to have IQ and Derrick Rose coexist. We're fucking doing really good here, winning and growing our rookies and sophomores, and third-year players too. So I like it. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but man, it would be nice. So we can only hope that the Knicks keep winning. And as a bonus, if the Dallas Mavericks keep being inconsistent and losing, I think right now they're a lottery team. So fucking, that's huge. We can get their pick. Knock on wood, we don't do anything fucking stupid at the deadline. We're going to talk about the deadline a bit more later. But it's looking good for our sake. We got to keep playing this way. We have a softer schedule ahead with more winnable games. Don't like to say that, knock on wood there too. But we keep playing hard, keep playing smart like we are. Things are looking up. I loved the closing lineup tonight too. Speaking of my nitpicky criticisms of Tom Thibodeau, I do want to credit him when he needs to get credit. And tonight he closed with the 5 guys you really want to see close with right now. He had Rickley out there in the backcourt with IQ and Rose. And then you had RJ, Julius, and Noel, 3, 4, 5. So that was huge. I love that lineup. The way specifically IQ and Rose play off of each other is so great. It's so fantastic to see them both coexist so well right now. Yeah, I know it's only a handful of games, and I've got my concerns. But, Rose is coming in here, and he doesn't seem to be taken away from the younger players. He's only trying to benefit them, right? He's not trying to one-up anybody. He's coming in as a vet, and he's letting them get their shine too. He's obviously a player who thrives best with the ball in his hands, but we've seen them so far coexist. And there were moments tonight where, their defense was pressuring Derrick Rose. So what the Knicks did was they slid him up to the 2. They had him play off the ball, and they put IQ on the ball. So, listen, if we keep winning like this, keep competing, let IQ do his combo guard shit, right? Let him do it. Fuck it. Of course, I would prefer, I was saying earlier, it'd be nice if Derrick Rose could get 25, 30 minutes as a starter, and then IQ could get 25, 30 minutes as the backup lead guard. This way you could just eliminate Peyton or just limit him to 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever, and you have IQ come off the bench, which you could eventually, you could if IQ comes off the bench and you have D-Rose starting, you could mix IQ in with D-Rose, play him at the fucking 2. You could, experiment with IQ and Rose together, and then you can have IQ do his thing at the 1 without D-Rose. You can be versatile that way. If you take Peyton out of this rotation, it brings so much more versatility to this lineup and flexibility for Tom Thibodeau here. But, I'm not going to complain right now because Peyton is playing less poor. He's playing decent, but, it's when he regresses back to his usual self, you want to hope that eventually IQ and Rose aren't splitting minutes with Elfrid Payton. Right now, it's kind of like split even. They're each getting about 20 to 25. You know, they're sharing the minutes between the three. Eventually, I would like IQ and Rose to get about 25 to 30, and EP limited to 10 to 15, or something like that. Because I know that Tom Thibodeau is not going to completely take away Elfrid Payton's minutes. He's a Payton guy, so you know, right now we aren't going to complain. I just love the way that Rose and IQ play together. They have unlocked a lot, obviously, in Obi Toppin. I like the way they play with RJ Barrett. You know, RJ and Rose had an assist together tonight. That was cool to see. They obviously play well with Mitchell Robinson, but Noel's here right now. But Noel and Taj have done a serviceable job. Not much from Taj tonight, but Noel specifically, you know, so far he's been good. You know, I know I was really getting on him earlier in the season. Rightly so. But he's turned it around. He's defending the rim pretty well. Multiple blocks per game. He's one of the league leaders in blocks, despite the minutes not being, you know, so large. He's a better screen setter. You know, Mitch has had his issues with the screens, kind of lazy. You know, I've always had my issues with Mitch when it comes to setting picks, but Noel's a really good screen setter. You give him that. You're not going to get as many rebounds. You know, he's not the tank that Mitch is in the offensive glass. He doesn't have that length that Mitch has. Not as athletic as Mitchell Robinson. You know, Mitch is a, you know, otherworldly athlete. And obviously you're getting some less offense. But, you know, considering he's a fill-in, he's doing a credible job so far filling in for Mitch. And Taj too. You know, he positions himself well on the defensive end of the floor. Not going to be that rim protector that Noel is, but, you know, kind of brings you an occasional pick and pop. He passes the ball fairly well. He's serviceable. You know, he's not a bad, you know, third string big. So, speaking of bigs, again, Obi was quiet tonight, but lately, you know, he's playing well. You know, I think he needs more minutes now that Mitchell Robinson's out. I would like to see, again, more small ball five. If Obi could get at least 20, 25 minutes tonight, that would be huge. 20 minutes I'll take, because it's kind of hard to find him 25 when Randle's playing so well. But now that Mitch is out on the floor, who knows? You know, maybe you see more Obi playing in the small ball lineups that we want to see more. You know, fucking him and Knox. I want to see them at the 4-5. That would be a pretty cool tandem to experiment with. You know, get Knox back into the rotation. You know, I don't understand why we just excluded him all of a sudden. It's kind of, you know, he was struggling for a bit, but he had a decent start to the year doing his catch and shoot shtick from the corner. But you know, I really think IQ, Rose, the way they can create, play at a high tempo pace, and just distribute and facilitate for everybody else, they play really well, and they unlock the potential in a lot of players. And obviously Obi Toppin, without Austin Rivers, you know, with Rivers kind of out of the rotation now, it's kind of easier for Toppin to thrive, right? Because when you had Rivers out there, he'd often shrug him off, completely ignore him. It's like he didn't even know he fucking existed at times. But you got Obi Toppin now playing with Rose and IQ, and he's getting more cuts. You know, he's getting more opportunities on the lob, some spot ups here from deep as well. So you like what you're seeing there. But we're going to head to break, and when we get back, man, we got to start talking about Julius Randle, all right? We've got to start talking about Julius a little more here, because I need to give some credit. I need to, you know, I need to fucking apologize to what I need to do. So we'll be right back, and we're gonna hit on Julius for a bit. You know, man, he has been so good this season. It's crazy because, you know, I don't want to fucking, like, sound like I'm kissing his ass all of a sudden because I shit on him all of last year. You know, but I did say, you know, I said you give this guy a decent head coach. You know, he's gonna there's a chance he becomes more of an efficient player. And we're seeing that right now. We're seeing Tom Thibodeau has obviously turned this guy from, empty production type of guy to a meaningful these stats are meaningful now. It's not just stat padding. It's not just random empty stats. He's really doing legit shit this season. These numbers, 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists are not fake. And what's more impressive to me, than the counting stats is the efficiency line, the shooting splits. He's 48% from the floor, 41% from three-point distance, making almost 2 per game, and 80% at the free throw stripe. So the numbers all across the board are drastically increased from last season. I mean, shit. He's playing defense too. He's got that defense to at least average, where he's a leader out there. He's really been good. He's really been a strong leader on this team, and he's playing like an all-star. He's in better shape this season. He's making smarter and quicker decisions with the ball in his hand, better passing, smarter shots, looking like Melo at times on the elbow. Fucking really doing some good shit. And talk about being an all-star, the reserves or the potential reserves are obviously Zach LaVine, Bam Adebayo, and then Julius Randle. Randle's the only one out of those three who isn't on a lottery team at the moment. He's on a team who is, I'm pretty sure the Knicks are the 6th seed, they're trending upwards too. I mean, what he's doing, 23, 11, and 6 at the power forward spot. Do I dare say the 3 letters? Do I dare? We're talking about all-star, but do I dare say he should at least be in consideration to be in the conversation for those 3 letters? I'm not even going to say those 3 letters because it sounds crazy to say. So I'm not even going to say it. I'm just going to let you figure out what I'm talking about here. And I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. But, there are other players who obviously are going to win it. He's not going to win that 3-letter thing. But he should. Hey, if he keeps putting up 23, 11, 6 and the Knicks keep winning and they make the playoffs, why can't he at least be mentioned, I don't know, top 10 in that conversation? Right? How many guys are averaging 20, 10, and 5? You want to know something crazy? I fucking saw something on Twitter, and it was a verified account. It was a legit stat. There's only one other player in NBA history. This is fucking nuts to me. Really nuts. It stood out so much. I was like, what the fuck? There's only one other player in NBA history who dropped 20, 10, 5 in a season on 40% three-point shooting. You know his name? Larry Legend. Larry Bird. That's the only other player in NBA history who finished the season 20, 10, 5, 40% three-point. And Julius is doing that right now. So fuck the All-Star. He's obviously an All-Star player. If you don't think he's an All-Star, you got to go watch another sport. Can we at least say he should be mentioned in the top 10 conversation for you know what? I mean, hey, I'm not saying it, but I'm also not saying it. I'm also not saying it. All right? I'm not saying it, but I'm not saying it either. That's where I'm going there. But seriously, listen, that award is about, where would that team be without that said player? Where would the Knicks be without Julius fucking Randle? They're 14 and 15. He's played in every game. You take him off the team and you replace him with an average player. Okay? So somebody, who scores 10 points and rebounds 4 times or whatever. Whatever the fucking average player would do. The Knicks aren't 14 and 15. They're fucking 10 and motherfucking 25 or no, they're worse than that. They're 5 and 25, maybe 6 and 26 or 6 and 24. They're not good. They're not good, and they are way worse. So I'm not saying it, but I am not saying it either. Just think about it. Just think about it. Just look at the list. Look at all the players in that conversation. Compare them to Julius and tell me that he shouldn't at least be mentioned in the top 10 for those 3 letters that I'm not even going to mention. So, just saying. Speaking of really good players, RJ Barrett. Last couple games, obviously heading into tonight, he's kind of been sluggish. He's kind of been slow, not really getting his rhythm. But, maybe he was a bit gassed. Some people were saying he was hurt, but I don't know. Saw his leg wrapped on the sideline or some shit. I don't know. But, wasn't really getting minutes. Tom Thibodeau was shying away from him down the stretch for a veteran, Alec Burks, who was also struggling. So that was kind of, I didn't like that. I would prefer RJ still get minutes regardless of if he's struggling or not. He's a young player who you need to play. But whatever, because he bounced back tonight, right? He had 21 points tonight, 8 of 14 shooting, hit all 3 3-pointers. He's playing well all season. He's really had a good season. I looked at the numbers just before I hit record tonight on the podcast. He was 18.5% from 3-point distance across the first 12 games of the season. Since then, he's over 40%. Over 40%. So from 18% to over 40% since from 3-point distance. So he's got the overall 3-point percentage up to 30%, which is obviously still bad. But considering where he was earlier in the year, he has been steadily improving from distance. And it's so important, right? When he's hitting those open triples, those timely 3-point shots, it opens up so much offensively for the New York Knicks. He's got a pretty versatile game offensively outside that, right? Obviously, he's great with the ball in his hands, slashing to the rim, driving on the ball. Loves to bulldoze. Good good fucking left-handed finisher. Has improved with his right. He can go right now. He can draw the foul. He can fucking hit the mid-range. That's his bread and butter. He's got the post game. He loves to run in transition. He's a pretty versatile offensive player. And obviously he can rebound. He's giving you rebounds and he can pass the ball. Listen, he's dropping 17, 6, and 3 this year. He's having a good, solid sophomore season. I mean, I'm impressed with RJ Barrett. I'm really impressed with him this year. That's why I'm never... Listen, I was a bit conflicted with him earlier in the season. I got to admit, that 3-ball specifically was looking pitiful. It looked like it was never going to go in. But he started playing to his strengths more. He started taking less threes, and he's not forcing it anymore. He's only averaging 3 3-pointers a game. He's taking the open ones, again, the timely ones, and he's doing most of his damage where he usually thrives. Modeling his game after the DeMar DeRozans of the world, the Jimmy Butlers of the world, guys like that who don't abuse the 3-point shot because they know that's their biggest weakness. And they're more efficient when they shoot it because they're doing it smarter. And he's not taking it in heavy doses like he was earlier in the season. A couple 0 for 6s versus Philly from downtown. He had the 0 for 8 versus Toronto. He's not forcing it right now. He's taking the ones where he's open, off the catch and shoot, efficient ones. RJ's been good. I am very impressed with RJ Barrett. The field goal percentage is climbing up overall. Everything is trending upwards. He's obviously making the free throws this season. He's in a good spot. He's in a very solid spot. I wish the Knicks would still feature him a bit more. I don't love how Elfrid Payton over the last month or so is getting about the same amount of shot attempts in a lot of these games. Don't know the number to that, but I'm just speaking off the top of my head from watching these games. Just too many shots from EP. But he still had a solid improvement, and I'm impressed with RJ Barrett. What else do I have here? Everybody's been really good. Talked about Randle, All-Star. The other 3 letters too. Talked about RJ. Mitch obviously is hurt, but Noel and Taj are doing a good job filling in. Would like to see more Obi and Knox now that Mitch is out. Bullock's like their first quarter guy. He's their fire starter, and then He unloads in the first, and then he's just dog shit the rest of the way, who just plays defense and doesn't do much. Alec Burks has kind of been underwhelming, to be honest with you. I was hoping he'd be a bit more for the Knicks this year. He's just way too inconsistent. But outside of, those couple of flaws from a couple of guys, the Knicks have really, really fucking played well. And so we're coming up on, February... What's tomorrow? As you're listening to this, tomorrow is today. So February 16th. So the trade deadline is in March, right? Sometime in March, I'm going to say. Where is it? Yeah, I think it's March. Because they pushed it back this year since the season was delayed a couple months. Again, we talked about this before, but I would just prefer the Knicks stand pat here and don't really try to fuck around. If you make any moves, make sure they're small moves, right? Small moves for wings or guards who can shoot the ball, who can move without the ball in their hands and play well without dominating possessions. Guys like that. Spot up shooters who don't over dribble, because we have enough shot creating slashers. I think if we're going to make any moves, just some small ones like that. But I just prefer we stick with what we have. What we have is a team with, again, good chemistry. You don't want to mess with anything. They're flowing well right now. We've heard the fucking Bradley Beal rumors. Too pricey, too risky for me in a season that's going really good for the Knicks, trending in the right direction. You don't want to make that gigantic move just for it to maybe not work out. It's gonna cost a fucking haul. It is way too pricey to take that risk right now. It's gonna cost. The fucking GM of the Wizards, forget his name, was saying earlier he wants a ton of picks. He wants a ton of first-round picks. So it's gonna cost the Knicks at least 3 first-round picks. In addition to that, it'll probably cost one of RJ Barrett or maybe Randle or Mitch. So one of those 3 first-rounders, and maybe like a Knox and more. It's going to cost it's Bradley Beal. He's leading the NBA in scoring with like 35. He's going to cost a ton of fucking money. A ton of fucking assets. It's not going to be a pretty price you're going to have to pay. It's going to be a Nets thing where you're going to have to gut your entire roster and let it be known that the Knicks have way less than depth than the Nets did. So that's going to bring Beal into another Wizards situation where he's not surrounded with much, and the Knicks might even win less games with him than they have right now, because at least they have a bunch of guys who are contributing. And if you just get Beal, you're getting one guy and then surrounded by maybe one other good player and then a bunch of low rotation guys. Low end of the rotation guys. I wouldn't take that risk right now. I wouldn't do it. And same goes for Zach LaVine. I know that's been a big name floating around there as well. I would just stick with the draft. Keep building through the draft. Go after free agents in the offseason. Nothing crazy. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't leverage your entire future for that one big name and kind of make that mellow mistake again. Keep building. Try building a foundation here. It's working well right now. Don't fuck with it. Just keep going. I've heard the Mo Bamba trade rumors. I don't understand that one. We have 3 bigs. We don't need another big. Noel and Taj are playing pretty well right now for us. Bamba is more he's a young kid. He's more of a core piece you're trying to build towards your future. He's a pick you don't make if you have Mitchell Robinson on your roster, and the Knicks do. So, I'm all right there. But yeah, just small shit. Just stick with the small shit. Don't fucking do anything dumb. And if you're gonna do anything, wings, guards who can shoot, spot up guys. Bring back Dotson. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, it's looking pretty good for the Knicks, right? The Knicks are 6th in the East. They've got all their draft picks, 7 over the next 4 years. They got a ton of cap flex. Good young core who like each other. A sound front office, hell of a head coach. That's how you build a culture, folks. That is how you build a culture. So I am impressed with the Knicks so far this season. They're doing a whole lot more than I thought they would. I'm really intrigued to see where this goes. You know, obviously people were talking Julius Randle. Do we trade him? I was all on that Randle trade boat earlier in the year, man. Not gonna lie to you guys, you know that, especially after we drafted Obi. But now it's kind of getting interesting, right? Now it's kind of getting really interesting. For this season, man, I think you got to keep the guy. At least this season, you got to keep him. See where you go. You're way too in it now. The Knicks are in too deep to just fucking give up on contending and just trade Randle and get. I know it might get them a couple of firsts, and that's really tempting. You have to think. You have to take offers at least. At least pick up the phone. If you're Leon Rose, Scott Perry, you're picking up the phone this deadline for sure. But if the offer is not out of this world, great. You've got to keep Randle and keep going with what you have, you know. And if he continues this play, this elite level play that nobody but Larry Bird can do, then you pick up the option, but you think about extending him and making him part of your building block. And if you do that, I know we're jumping way too far ahead here, but if you do that, what are we doing here with Obi Toppin? Is he going to be part of a package? There's a lot to consider. And right now, though, again, I don't want to jump too far ahead. Right now, I think we should all just sit back and enjoy the show. The Knicks are 14-50. We're getting some fans back into the Garden. We're 6th in the East, and things are really looking up. So that's pretty much our show tonight, guys. If you haven't subscribed yet to the podcast, to BD4, be sure to subscribe right now. Just go to my website. Go to, if you want to find where to find all the podcast feeds and where to follow me on social media and where to read my blog, just go to my link tree. It'll have the links to all that shit. So go to linktr.ee/rjcarbone, linktr.ee/rjcarbone. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode 213 of BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Hope everybody's doing well. So we're going to wrap this one up as soon as we finish the NYK question of the day, which we're going to get to once we get back from break. All right, so last time out in episode 212, our NYK question of the day was, how many rebounds did Carmelo Anthony have in his 62-point game? And the answer to that question, how many rebounds did Carmelo Anthony have in his 62-point game? 13. It was a double-double. He had 13 rebounds that night. That was the answer to our episode 212's NYK question of the day. This episode 213, our NYK question of the day, brought to you by Anchor. The best way to make a podcast, you can go to anchor.fm or download the Anchor app, is... Gotta let it come across the screen here because I actually forgot what it was. Here we go. When was the last time the Knicks had 2 All-Stars or more on their roster? So when was the last time the Knicks had more than 1 All-Star on their roster? And there's the second part to this question. Who were they? All right, so one last time. When, as in what year, was the last time the Knicks had at least 2 All-Stars on their roster? And who were they? All right, so this year we probably just have 1. Hopefully he gets into. But yeah, so when was the last time the Knicks had at least 2 All-Stars on their roster, and who were they? So message me the answer to that NYK question of the day, brought to you by Anchor. Message me on social media. Or you can just comment once I publish the promo to this podcast and the link. So let me know the answer on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the BD4, be sure to subscribe to the podcast right now. Go to my website. To find my website, just go to my link tree, linktr.ee/rjcarbone. That'll take you to a page that displays all my information. Guys, thanks so much. I appreciate it so much. And I'll see you in the next one. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you in fucking, let's see. I got to figure out the schedule. I don't even know when the next game is, but, I don't know. I'll see you next time this week. Sometime this week. I think it's, maybe Friday? I don't know. Gotta see who they play. I don't even know who they play next, when they play next, but it's looking good. The Knicks are 14-15 and they're 6th in the East. Life is good right now. We'll see what happens as we progress. All right, guys. I'll see you next time. Ciao.
This podcast is sponsored by Anchor.